Hari Om, Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Just let it go. You might have had a fight with a parent and you're wisely advised to just let it go. Or you could have had a run-in at work that spoils your mood and your spouse tells you, just let it go. And even as they say it, you get more annoyed. Why should I let it go? I'm right. And in this situation, it's so unfair. Why should I let it go? It wasn't my fault. Or it wasn't completely my fault. Or simply, we just get stuck on, why should I let it go? I don't want to. Letting it go is not so simple. It might sound easy to say, but in actually doing it, it requires us to want to let it go, and it requires us to detach. The reason satsang, keeping the right company, is so important is because it helps us to detach. Detach from all the different things that we are attached to. In the company of saints and sages, our vision is uplifted. Pujya Gurudev used to constantly say, to hold on to the higher, we have to let go of the lower. Or instruct us, attach to the higher and detach from the lower. What's this lower? Well, pretty much everything. Once a king went to get advice from a wise old man, and this person was known to be very blunt and spoke the bitter truth. And the king wanted to be able to live his life in an intelligent way, so he decided better to have the bitter truth than to live a life of heartache. When he went to the old man, the king said, bow down, and with humility asked, how can I live my life the best way possible? The man asked him, well, king, if you were lost in a desert and desperately thirsty, and somebody offered you dirty water from the gutter and demanded half your kingdom for it, what would you do? The king didn't have to think about it much. He'd said, I'd gladly accept the offer. What other choice does a dying man have? The wise men continued, after drinking the water, you fall gravely ill, and on your deathbed, a famous doctor says he will give you the cure to your illness if you give him the other half of your kingdom. What would you do? Again, the king said, what's the point of having a dead king? I would give him half the kingdom. So the wise man looked at the king and said, Your Majesty, learn this. Give up thinking that you are great because you own a kingdom. Consider half your kingdom worth dirty water from the gutter, and the other half worth a few pulls. It was the man's way of showing the king that we hold on to things thinking they're important, but when we have a different perspective, we realize they're not. We live our lives focused and attached to so many likes and dislikes, maybe to physical possessions, maybe to different people, and then we get preoccupied with enhancing those relationships and in acquiring more possessions. And when we stay in the company of people who have the same value, they encourage us to do it. Depending on the company we keep, we see people spend so much money that they have to borrow to pay their debts. And then we start thinking it's okay to do so. Depending on certain circles, we see people popping pills to lose weight, or even indulging in plastic surgery, which could be harmful, to look better. And we think, oh, I want to look better too, and start considering doing it ourselves. In certain companies, we see people binge watching Netflix and then turning up to work exhausted the next day, and start to feel that it's okay to indulge in this way. Depending on the company we keep, we encourage to give in to whims and fancies, and we even develop more whims and fancies. But when we keep the company of those who are striving to live a noble life, We inspire to wake up early, to read literature that is uplifting. We are inspired to control our senses and not indulge. We inspire to speak in a way that is kind and patient. When we see other people doing these things, we too want to start doing it. There was a beautiful incident that actually happened in a small town in Australia. A Buddhist monastery had developed over the years. One evening, the monk heard a lot of noise coming from the altar room. When he went out, he wasn't surprised that a thief was trying to take the money from the donation box. The thief, seeing him, said, "Give me the keys," and pointed a knife at him. The monk, with great kindness in his heart, said, "There's no need for the knife, my friend. I'll get the keys for you." He then, as he handed over the keys to the thief, said, "When's the last time you eaten? Next to the donation box, there's a small cupboard. There's some biscuits and bread in there if you'd like some." The thief took the money and in a hurry was leaving, again pointed the knife, said, "And if you dare try to call the police." The monk answered, "Why would I collect the police? The money given to us are for people in need, and you seem to have much need." A few mornings later, in conversation, the monk had spoken about this thief, and one of the other monks in the center said that they had just read a newspaper article where a thief had been caught stealing in that area. Nobody thought anything of it until 10 years later, the same monk was disturbed by noise in the altar room. He went in and he saw a much older thief standing there, saying, "I have come for the money in your donation box." The monk smiled, recognizing him, and said, "It's good to see you again." The man said, "Last time I stole your money. I stole the wrong thing. The 10 years that I was in jail, all I could remember was you were the only one that was kind to me. What I should have stolen is your understanding of how you could be so kind." When we keep the right company, when we keep the company of those living higher values, we start detaching from the lower, and we start aspiring to attach to the higher. Think about it.
For more in-depth talks from Swamini Supriyananda and other excellent teachers of the Chinmaya mission, you can subscribe to chinmayaclix.com. That's Chinmaya, CLIX.com. You can also visit the Chinmaya channel on YouTube for bite-sized inspiration and discourses on in-depth Vedantic texts. To know about local classes, activities, and upcoming retreats, visit www.chinmayamission.com. And see you on the next podcast.